Special meeting of the Danville City Commission for this evening, Monday, November the 22nd. The hour is 5:31. And I'll call us to order and ask that we be led in a moment of prayer by Commissioner Denise Terry.
Thank you. I would also like to ask everyone to remember and donate, if at all possible, to our friends and neighbors over in Garrett County. They lost their food bank this last week or so. So if anyone can reach out to them, that would be great. And please pray with me. Dear Lord, today we give thanks for our many blessings. As we pray for those in need, we give thanks for our family and friends and pray for those who are lonely. We give thanks for our freedoms and pray for those who are oppressed. We give thanks for our good health and we pray for those who are ill. We give thanks for our comfort and prosperity as we share our blessings with others. On this day and week of Thanksgiving, may the peace of God dwell within us. Amen.
Amen. We have a special opportunity tonight to have two somewhat newcomers to our community, and that is lieutenants, and that is plural, Walton, with the Salvation Army, and they have I won't say volunteered, but they got volunteered to come up and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. If you do so, that'd be great. You know he can't do it by himself.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you both. Hang on just a second. Commissioner Cardle. Commissioner Cardle, if you'd do the honors, I'd appreciate it. And while we're waiting, if you don't mind, take the microphone and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Is it okay if I?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, guys, for having us here today. It's a blessing to be here. I am Lieutenant Cornelius Walton. This is my beautiful wife.
Lieutenant Noldine Walton.
Could not do it without her. We just got I wouldn't say commissioned. That's another term. But we just got reassigned here from Jacksonville, Florida. We were the pastors and the local administrators there for the Salvation Army. And we got reassigned here. That's a normal thing in the Army. Every few years, they send pastors all over the United States, and even other countries as well, because we serve in 130 plus countries. But it's a blessing to be here in Danville. We look forward to seeing what the Lord is going to do in Danville, Kentucky through the Salvation Army. Around this time of the season, we have, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you are already aware of what's going on with the Salvation Army. This is the busiest time of the season, the busiest time of the season. And we have two programs or campaigns that are going on right now, and I'll let my wife discuss a bit about the Angel Tree.
So the Angel Tree program is our way of providing gifts for the kids in the community. So in September, we begin to advertise, and in October, we do appointments only. The families come in, we sign them up, and in the November to December, we put around our Angel Tree tags. You'll see them in Walmart. You'll hear them from businesses, and the community is able to shop for gifts for the children. And my job, along our staff and volunteers, we pack up in our gym, and then on the 17th of December this year, we're able to pass out gifts to about 300 kids this year. We serve in all the 5 counties, and so next year we'll be more present. We're also doing seniors this year, which is a little different. So not only do they receive food boxes, but they also receive gifts also. So this is not just for the children. We serve the size from ages 0 to 12 for the angel tree. And so if you're out in Walmart and you would like to shop in the Stanford, Harrodsburg, and even here, you're more than welcome to. If not, if you would like to donate even new toys that are unwrapped, we do have a box at Burke's. Once you walk in on the right-hand side, there are 2 boxes there you could donate to help us put toys under the tree for the families this year.
And every year in the Salvation Army during Christmas time, within this season, we always have a theme. And last year, when COVID hit hard, we called it Rescue Christmas. This year, we call it Hope Marches On. Hope Marches On. And through Angel Tree and even through Kettles, it just gives us an opportunity to spread hope to many families, to spread hope to the community, and to let them know that there is a living God that still sits on the throne. So with our Kettle program that we'll be starting this Friday on the 26th of November, we are raising money for charity, and that money will go right back out into the community in order to serve those in need in the community in many ways. And our goal this year is $110,000. That's our goal this year, $110,000. It would be great for you guys to come along and support the Army in some way. Even if it's volunteering 2 hours of your time, if you are interested, you can call 859-236-4473, 859-236-4473, and you can call our office and just let them know, hey, I would like to ring for 2 hours. Our secretary should get you set up for a slot, and then you can ring for 2 hours, and that right there is bringing hope to people you may not even see. But it's an assurance that you are bringing hope to people out there in the community, all 5 counties. And that will be going from November 26th all the way to December 24th. And one thing that we always, and this is what, me and my wife, we stand by the mission of the Salvation Army, because the founders, William and Catherine Booth, when they founded in 1865, was to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ and to meet human needs in his name without discrimination. And that's what we stand by. And last but not least, we always want to make people aware, and we want to assure people that we're here to make an impact, not an impression. Make an impact, not an impression. Thank you guys for having us.
Great. Thank you. And we appreciate you for being here and for leading us in the pledge. And we're very grateful that you're part of our community. I can tell you're going to make an impact. And thank you very much. Commission, you've had the agenda since Friday. If I could, under number 2, could I insert the M.L. King Committee? I believe they have a rough draft, and they're here, and we can get them in and out, and they can go home. And yeah. Okay, we're going to move right into Hear the Public. This is the opportunity for the public to have 3 minutes at the microphone to address any item that is
Mayor,
on.
I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but as this is a special called meeting, you're not at liberty to change the agenda tonight. I'm sorry.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving and Merry Christmas.
Thank you for being here with us this evening. Have a good evening, and stay tuned. Perhaps we will be able to get this done at the next regular meeting.
Can I introduce
Yeah, but we'll get on the
under
agenda.
Commissioner comments?
You can discuss whatever you want to under Commissioner comments.
Okay.
So, again, before I was so rudely interrupted, hear the public. This is the public's opportunity to address anything on tonight's agenda. There will be the same opportunity for comment on anything not on tonight's agenda. So with that, anybody? Rob, this is on tonight's agenda, correct?
No?
Okay, then we got it.
Oh,
This section is for tonight's agenda. The next
Gotcha.
tier of the public is, yeah, good deal. Anybody? Moving right along, we'll go to the approval of the minutes of 3 previous meetings, November the 8th, November 17th, and November 19th. Chair will entertain a motion at your convenience. Don't everybody talk at once here.
I move for approval of the minutes as presented.
Thank you, Commissioner Cottle. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Terry, thank you, ma'am. Discussion, additions, corrections, anybody? Seeing none, Chair will call the question. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Item 2 is United Way. We're glad to have Ms. Stephanie Blevins with us.
Thank you. I think it's been over a year since I've been here to kind of update you on what United Way is doing. So during COVID, a lot has happened. I will do a brief update of that. And first off, let me say that I really appreciate the support that you all gave as well. So we started out by distributing over 400 senior care kits. That was through our 4 counties. We distributed the personal protection equipment for Boyle County, which was easy to do through the Boyle County Health Department. We delivered 320 gallons of sanitizer throughout the county. And we continued to do the signups for both our booster shots as well as the vaccinations in Mercer and Boyle. So United Way was happy to do that, honored to do that. And moving forward, we will continue. One thing I think that was kind of forgotten with the pandemic is that those people that do not have the resources, whether it was because they had lost their job or whether they were living in poverty to begin with, to provide food for their families once they were quarantined when they did not have families in our areas. And so United Way stepped up at that point and did both the grocery shopping and delivery of food for those families. We will continue to fund over 44 programs in the upcoming year. In your folder, you will see the 44 listed to the right. Behind that, you will see that there is an upcoming training that United Way does for free that is Bridges Out of Poverty. I would highly encourage, if you have not been through that, to attend. It is 4 hours that is both professionally and personally very enlightening. And Denise, thank you for mentioning the Garrett County food. We just took a check today for $2,500 from United Way over to the food pantry. We are continuing to work on our poverty, generational poverty, and moving those people to self-sustainability, as well as now focusing on suicide prevention and our homeless population. I know that was a really brief overview, and you've gotten more additional information in there, but there is a lot on your agenda, so I will entertain if there are any questions.
Questions for Ms. Blevins?
I wanted to reiterate the Bridges Out of Poverty. If you have not taken that, I cannot recommend it enough. It is very enlightening, and you don't learn just about poverty. You learn about all walks of life, and even about your own walk of life that you don't realize that you didn't know. It's a great training, and I was just looking through my book again not too long ago, actually. And I think of it as more of living in survival mode. Mm-hmm. That's what it is. It's learning about people who have had to live in survival mode. And I've had to do that as an adult and a parent. And it's this training just teaches you a lot of what you didn't know you didn't know.
Thank you.
Stephanie, back to Garrett County. I know that they got a sizable donation. I'm trying to remember from who, but I think it was like $10,000.
Centers, the Colonel, his name
Kentucky Colonel.
Kentucky Colonels.
Yeah, and your all's 2,500. At what point are they back to being full?
I think they'll know more after today. They actually were feeding, the line was that we delivered the check today, and I think there were close to 100 people in line to receive food. They were having, I think it was ROTC from the school, were helping unload turkeys and everything else, so they'll probably know more after today.
Okay.
Depending on how many people show up. And I would encourage anybody who hasn't been through that Bridges Out of Poverty, December the 7th is our next training. It is absolutely free. You have the option of buying the Ruby Payne book for $20. If not, you don't have to. And the training is, it is very enlightening, Denise, so thank you for for sharing that.
I'm looking at this 211. Would you like to talk about that?
I would love to. So 211 is something that's in our communities. All 4 of our counties can use that. Instead of dialing 911 or 411, anybody with any need can dial 211. An automated comes on at the beginning, asks them what county they live in, and then a live person comes on, and we have a database for all 4 of our counties for everything from utility assistance, rent assistance, mental health, suicide prevention. I mean, there's just, the resources are endless. So anyone in need, 211 is the answer.
Nice. Any other questions?
Well, not a question, but a comment. It's nice to be able to sit here and say that at one time, the entire fiscal court and the city commission attended the training together. And it might be something that we might want to reconsider since we both have new members on the court and the commission. But great training, and I concur with how important it is for our community to partake of these things. And then I want to say thanks to you for your excellent report, because I had a chance to look at the folder before we started, so that was good.
Thank you. I'll be happy to set up a training at anybody's place of work. We've done it for the schools. A lot of the other places have done it as well, so yeah, happy to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Item 3 is the tree lighting ceremony update. Ms. Rader?
I just wanted to give you all a brief update on what we decided to do for the tree lighting ceremony. Because we are still under COVID restrictions, we can't do the mayor's reception as we usually do. So we're going to have the virtual tree lighting on Thursday, December 2nd at 7 p.m. We will stream that on our Facebook. You are welcome to attend as long as you practice social distancing and wear your mask.
Yes, ma'am.
That's the 2nd at 7? Okay.
Item 4 is the second reading of ordinance number 1982. This is the zone change request for 1695 Lancaster Road. Chair will entertain a motion for the second reading.
I'll offer a motion to pass the second reading of ordinance 1982, 1695 Lancaster Road, a zone change as presented.
Thank you, Commissioner Atkins. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Cottle, thank you. Discussion? Seeing none. Madam Clerk?
This is the second reading of ordinance number 1982, an ordinance changing the zone from AG Agriculture and HB Highway Business to LI Light Industrial for approximately 50.432 acres, more or less, of real property located at 1695 Lancaster Road in the city of Danville. Commissioner Cottle?
Yes.
Commissioner Terry?
Yes.
Mayor Paris?
Counselor, since I wasn't there for the first reading, should I recuse myself on this?
There's no reason to do so.
Okay, then yes.
Commissioner Holland?
Yes.
Commissioner Atkins?
Yes, ma'am.
Item 5 is the first reading of ordinance number 1983. This is a zone change request at 1103 Houstonville Road. Chair will entertain a motion.
I move for approval of the first reading of ordinance 1983.
Thanks, Commissioner Cottle. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Terry, thank you. We're in discussion. Seeing none. Madam Clerk?
This is the first reading of ordinance number 1983, an ordinance changing the zone from R1A, single-family residential, to HB Highway Business for approximately 0.246 acres, more or less, of real property located at 1103 Houstonville Road in the city of Danville. Commissioner Terry?
Yes.
Mayor Paris?
Yes.
Commissioner Holland?
Yes.
Commissioner Atkins?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Cottle?
Yes.
Item 6 is the first reading of ordinance number 1984, also a zone change for 201 West Broadway. Do I hear a motion?
I'll move to approve the first reading of ordinance 1984.
Thank you, Commissioner Holland. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner
I
Atkins,
was
thank you,
going to let
sir.
it die for like a second just because Jennifer's in the back, so.
You missed the
I know, I'm
opportunity. So. Any discussion? Roll call, madam.
This is the first reading of ordinance number 1984, an ordinance changing the zone from RM3 multifamily residential to CB central business for approximately 0.082 acres, more or less, of real property located at 201 West Broadway in the city of Danville. Mayor Paris?
Yes.
Commissioner Holland?
Yes.
Commissioner Atkins?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Cottle?
Yes.
Commissioner Terry?
Yes.
Item 7 is the city manager report. Mr. Coffey?
Thank you, Mayor Commissioners. We have a couple of items. The second meeting in December, as we get towards the first meeting, are you all inclined to cancel the second meeting in December as we traditionally do? I don't have that date on what that would project it to be, but I think it's the week of Christmas, unless I'm mistaken.
It's the
wanted to
27th.
See what your feelings were about that.
What date was it? 27?
Works for me.
Okay, and so we'll be prepared for that at the next meeting. The next thing I wanted to talk about, I think we have our information sufficient that we can schedule the meeting with the airport board. We are asking, we talked to Rob earlier today, and we believe that we'd be in a position to meet either the 1st or the 2nd. The 1st is next Wednesday in the afternoon, or the 2nd, we could meet almost anytime that day. If either one of those dates work for you all, we'll be prepared to meet and discuss. And the goal will be to talk about a financial policy if the airport is annexed into the city. And so either one of those days,
As far as I know, either one is fine with me.
okay,
You said the first in the afternoon time?
1st in the afternoon or the 2nd all day is
What time
available.
of day works for you best?
I'm going to be in Florida
Well,
at a health food show.
Both days?
The first,
Oh, yeah, for a week.
Okay.
the first
Did you ask our permission?
from 1 o'clock on would work. And then the 2nd, I'm ringing the bell at the Salvation Army at 3 o'clock, so.
If it's, yeah, I mean, I could do either of those.
Is there a particular time that
No, we'll float that out to the
Rob would like to?
Yeah, I think they've got a big board also, so we'll try to schedule a time that majority of those folks can make it.
That'd be good.
Yeah, and so as long as we know those two days are okay with you all, we'll work on that.
And this will be a public hearing?
This will be not a hearing, it'll be a city commission meeting, joint meeting, ultimately between the city commission and the airport board if they have a quorum.
So dialogue is encouraged.
For where dialogue will be encouraged, and what we will be particularly presenting is financial impacts of the annexation and what our recommendation are for those details, or is for those details.
It's more like a workshop kind of thing.
More like a workshop, that's correct.
But in a workshop, it's a conversation between staff and commission. In this setting, it's going to be a conversation between staff, commission, and airport board,
That is correct.
And the public?
and the public.
And the public,
We can include an agenda item for the public,
Yeah,
yes.
we should.
Okay.
Yep.
yeah.
Is it going to be videotaped?
It will be.
Thank you.
What else, sir?
Then we will hope to have a financial report out to you this week, one day, via email, and we will go over it at the next meeting for the first quarter.
Okay.
And that's all I have.
All right. Now, Mr. Quayle, the floor is yours as we move into hear the public's opportunity to take 3 minutes on any item that is not on tonight's agenda. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Rob Caldwell, and I serve as a member of the Danville-Boyle County Airport Board. I'm here tonight to publicly express my concern and opposition to the City of Danville's plan to annex the airport. I would like to briefly express 2 reasons why I'm not in favor of annexation. The city has been unable to quantify the needs for annexation, and the city manager has stated that one of the city's reasons for annexation is to promote economic development at the airport. The airport board has and will be a supporter of economic development. However, the city has provided no evidence that annexation itself will benefit the airport, its tenants, or the city in economic development. The airport board and its stakeholders have many unanswered questions. I'd like to encourage the city manager to follow through, which you just did. One moment there. Yep, on your commitment to hold the joint meeting. And this meeting is going to be critical, and needs to happen soon, so we established it. The promotion of trust and collaboration is paramount in identifying a successful path forward for all parties. And our concern is that the process is not one that sends a message of trust amongst the community between the airport board and the city and all those involved. Our second point would be that annexation will likely result in the loss of businesses at the airport. The city manager originally informed the airport board that the city has no intention of creating a financial burden on the airport or its tenants because of annexation. Specifically, the tenants were told there would be no insurance, tangible property, and/or other taxes levied on the annexation. Despite their intention, the city appears to have not researched their own legal ability or lack thereof to arbitrarily eliminate such taxes if annexation occurs. Again, the tenants are left in the dark on whether their costs will increase if they remain at the airport after annexation. All relationships are fragile at best, and the airport strives to nurture the tenants and the businesses on the airfield. This year, a commercial pilot on the airfield committed to sponsoring a playground. He and his wife contributed and raised close to $6,000, enabling the airport managers to purchase and assemble a playground unit. This kind of collaboration does not happen in an environment where the folks feel an unpredictable government entity is making unnecessary advancement. The airport board has the responsibility to represent the interests of the businesses and the tenants located at the airport. We have taken this responsibility seriously and have attempted to act in good faith with the city to resolve the questions and concerns surrounding annexation. At this moment, we are no further along in the process from when it began earlier this summer when the mayor and the city manager came out to the airport. The time has come to identify a path forward that is best in the best interest of all parties involved. I highly encourage the city commissioners to make the obvious common sense decision to remove both the airport and those property owners that do not want to be annexed in this effort. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening. Marshall, if you don't mind, introduce yourself for the public.
I'm sorry?
Introduce yourself for the
Yes.
public that's watching.
Yes, my name is Marshall Wilt, as the mayor has just identified me. I'm a longtime member of the airport board. I'm here also to make some comments about annexation of the airport. I have 2 points to make, and I'm going to read them in order to try to stay brief as possible. The first point is a bit of history of the airport. Several years ago, the airport board encouraged a medevac helicopter service to move to Danville. They accepted our invitation, terms were agreed upon, and we had a press release and a ribbon cutting ceremony with press, local, and state politicians. Within a month of this ribbon cutting, this company backed out and located elsewhere, where apparently they believed they had gotten a better situation. It took us perhaps another year to recruit our present medevac tenant, a business known as Airivac. I think most of you are probably familiar with, with Airivac. This business at the airport, Airivac, has grown from a modest beginning to over 40 people who serve as flight crews and maintain Air Evacs helicopters from Pennsylvania all the way to, to Missouri. This experience emphasized to me the fragility of our relationships with corporate tenants. They can move rather easily. It's taken us 20 years at the airport for us to attract our current corporate tenants, and tax increases due to annexation are not an incentive to stay in or to locate to Danville. Second point, Air Board members have much information relative to annexation, which would inform commissioners before they vote on the issue of airport annexation. I know that board members have been hindered in transmitting this information because of the city's policy, which prevents us from talking to any subset of commissioners. Hence our appearance taking this avenue and this approach today. I request that the city reverse this communication block so that commissioners can become better informed. Thank you.
Thank you, Marshall. Anyone else? Ms. Wilma?
Marshall's taller than I am. Tonight, I'm Wilma Brown. Thank you. I'm Wilma Brown. Tonight, I want to make comments concerning the nonpartisan aspect of the election and serving of our mayor and our city commission. I'll be mentioning the Republican Party because the Democrat Party has not been engaging in some unethical activities. Not that they wouldn't, it's just that they haven't. And therefore, I do not want my comments to be taken as partisan themselves. I'm trying to work with some facts. Lately, the Republican Party has listed among the people that they are backing, they've also listed candidates for the mayor and city commissioners. This is unethical. They know that. They know exactly what they're doing. And I want to ask them tonight to please stop, because we need less partisanship in this community rather than more. And our city commission especially needs to be nonpartisan. We know all of you. We can come and talk to you. We don't need a political party telling us how to vote. I also want to mention, and some of the people who have already registered as candidates are friends of mine. It doesn't matter to me. I'm speaking to everybody. If you, as a candidate, allow a political party to disseminate your materials, you are being unethical. If you go to a rally or a meeting of a particular party and you make a speech at a place where the other candidates have not been invited, you are being unethical. If you allow a photograph of yourself to be taken with the leadership of a particular political party for purposes of promotion, you are being unethical. You do not deserve to be on the city commission, because if you're going to act like that as a candidate, I have no idea what you're going to do up there as a member of our city commission. So if I find that any of the candidates, and I don't care who they are, engage in these types of activities, I will personally work against their being elected, because I've always appreciated very much the nonpartisan aspect of the city commission, and I hope it's going to stay that way. And I appreciate the opportunity to speak tonight.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else? Seeing none, we'll move right along into commissioner comments.
I was going to briefly mention that some of us took a trip to Henderson and Madisonville last week, and I won't get too much into it, but it's always interesting to see how other people do things that you are also trying to do. And they have stumbled at some places, maybe they can help you not stumble over. So I was appreciative of their hospitality and of the things that I learned, and I think the city manager will have more to say about that later on. He's going to sort of do a synopsis for us, but it was a good trip.
Commissioner Terry, anything? Mr. Holland?
I had something, but I don't remember what it was. Go ahead.
I had something I typed out, and Wilma Brown kind of beat me to the punch, so I appreciate your comments, Miss Wilma. Here we go. Okay. You know, we're living in a time where we need to unite as a community, and we're all just human beings facing the same obstacles. Wilma kind of gave the definition. I looked up nonpartisan. It means non-biased or partisan, especially towards any particular political group. As someone who has not filed and might not, sometimes you get pulled into things you are not aware of. So I appreciate people that let me know, that read the paper. But my second comment was one of my favorite things about city government, and I think everybody up here agrees, is that we're nonpartisan. And I think really all local government should be really. There's a lot of work to be done, and it takes teamwork and unity, and I think we're all Team Danville, and that's what I wanted to say.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Atkins, anything?
Well, we just passed November the 19th, 2021, and I wanted to give reference to the fact that 158 years ago, Abraham Lincoln did the Gettysburg Address. And of course, we were in the midst of a great war. And it was just so ironic that it came across my iPad, a remembrance about the fact that it happened 158 years ago. So that was the history lesson for this meeting tonight. I want to again thank both lieutenants from the Salvation Army for their presence tonight. We've been working on that, and I noticed you came in with your gloves and your scarves and all that kind of stuff on. Well, it's just beginning, you know. That Fort Lauderdale stuff, you just got to get over it, right? But on a more serious note, though, I asked the ML King Committee to send me a copy of their proposal to read to the public and to us. During the commission time frame, because we want this to be as publicized as we can get it. So they're saying that the event is going to be on Monday, January the 17th from 12 o'clock noon to 2 p.m. And they're going to have everyone come to the front steps of City Hall. And there will be a welcome given from someone from the ML King Committee. And then at 12:10, they want all of us to get together and march from City Hall to Jenny Rogers Community Center. And they're anticipating our arrival there by 12:30, and they will have a program planned to start at 12:45 with a welcome and poem selections and a couple of speakers and some music selections and a benediction. And then there's going to be a grab-and-go lunch provided for all those who, all the participants. And notice it said grab and go. So Jenny Rogers has a cafeteria, but we're not going to put 200 attendees or more inside the cafeteria, but you can grab a hot lunch to go provided by hopefully the city council. And then for my city commissioners, they were going to present to us a possible funding proposal totaling $4,000, which was $1,400 for meals and drinks, $1,600 for shirts, $300 for advertising, and $700 for miscellaneous, for a total of $4,000. So I asked Danny to send that to me, at least we can get that out there so you all know that the committee's working, has a plan in place, and it's going to cost us a little bit of change, but they're busy about trying to do that. And another update is Ashley Rader, our city clerk, has given them all the big leads about being on a city board or a city committee. And so they're getting themselves acclimated to open records and all the things that are necessary to be a proper committee. So again, I want to publicly thank them for their work, and hopefully we'll have a ML King celebration that will be quote-unquote community-wide.
What was the date on that again?
January the 17th,
January 17th, okay.
2022, 12 o'clock noon, steps of City Hall. There will be a march.
Downhill mostly.
Yes, sir, but there will be a march. And I say that because we have sometimes gotten away from marching because of the coldness of the 17th of January, okay? So there will be a march. So I just wanted to share that with us because it's, they're under some time constraints because we're just trying to get a new committee organized, but when you ask 9 people to voluntarily give up their time, they have been meeting, and a nice proposal. They did not share with me who the guest speakers are. I think that's a work still in progress. Okay? So that's my report.
Madam Clerk, you said December 2nd is the virtual? That's a Thursday? Okay. Typically, it's been Friday, but we're doing Thursday.
We chose the Thursday because of Boyle County football possibly not being in town.
Gotcha. And then I know at least 2 commissioners tuned in to the webinar on homelessness.
Yeah.
You all want to chime in and share with the public what you got out of it?
I saw most of it. I was kind of in and out that day, but the first step is admitting that we have homeless. And I think that's a problem that we've had here, is just because we don't necessarily see them doesn't mean they're not there. So rural homelessness looks very different from urban homelessness. So most of the time in this area, someone's living in their car, and they're not necessarily in doorways or street corners or whatever. So we do have homeless here. And that's the first thing we need to recognize. And I think we need to address it. I think we need to address it now. And there are several ways to do that. And I think we need to be creative and progressive on that. And I actually have an idea that applies to, I don't know which number it is now, but it talks about the Public Works building and the old Public Works building. So we need to find a facility to offer shelter.
I'm going to throw out a suggestion perhaps that you and anyone else that would like to put your heads together and begin to, with city commission input, city manager input, begin to come up with some concrete avenues that we can pursue. You may have some other folks. Jage?
Well, I was going to give some highlights about what I learned or relearned, and the most important thing, my takeaway was that it's not an issue that can be resolved by government. It's an issue that has to be resolved by the community. And then the other point is that we have a committee, community-wide committee working on homelessness that was been set up by, I want to say by EDP, but it has Kathy Miles as the chairperson. It has Tim Kites, our Housing Authority Director, Executive Director, and I think Salvation Army members on the committee. So there's a committee already functioning, and I tried to get some of them to listen in to that broadcast that KLC did, and I've sent them the link to that, so maybe they'll get involved. But I think we should reach out to that committee and say, let's let the city work with a community-wide committee that's already in place right now. And they're just beginning. They've only been probably just.
Would it be helpful if we put them on an agenda and asked them to share with us what ground they plowed thus far?
Oh, yeah, no, most definitely, yeah.
Yeah, it's not something that the city necessarily needs to operate. We need to find an entity and partner with them and help to fund it, but we do not need to be in the operation of a homeless shelter. We need someone who knows how to already do that.
And you got to be really, 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 really careful about the location.
And if they do come speak, I know I've met several times with Roger Fox. I know, I think he might have spoken to the fiscal court about homelessness in Boyle County. Perhaps Roger Fox, Mr. Earl, could speak also and share with us about homelessness in Boyle County.
He's scheduled to come to the next meeting. We spoke today about it.
Wow.
Well,
Just
aren't
so
you
ahead of
on the
it.
spot?
Thank you.
Christmas
Ashley's on the
bonus is
ball
on its
today.
way. That's great. Well, it was a great 6 or 8 hours, and I know, we talked about the commission being involved, but also I was impressed about the number of people on our staff who were in attendance to the virtual conference as well, though. So, really good.
I want to thank Commissioner Holland as well as Wilma Brown for your comments. And I say this with all sincerity. I don't care, and I don't think any of these people care what your political persuasion is. I can say in 7 years that has never, ever become a scintilla of an issue, and I don't think it will, because these folks up here, we're just looking to solve the problem.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it a pleasure for me, is we're just all trying to solve a problem. Yeah. And
Mr. Mayor,
we don't all agree, but when we disagree, we move on. Yes, sir.
I don't want us to leave this meeting without the commission saying to our community, Happy Thanksgiving. And I want to give you a new Thanksgiving diet to try. I was taught this diet in church yesterday. This preacher friend of mine said he's got 5 engagements for this week to have Thanksgiving dinner. So to avoid gaining the Thanksgiving 25 extra, he's going to have a half plate of food at each of those 5 stops. And I kept thinking, what's a half plate of food? But you figure that out for yourself. But he tried to teach us a new diet program at church yesterday. And it was a part of his sermon. It was worked in very well, lieutenants. Worked in just very well. But happy Thanksgiving to our community.
Absolutely. Move right on into financials and payment of the bills. Chair will entertain a motion for the acceptance of the payment of the bills.
I'll move to pay the November 23rd, 2021 bill list, totaling $284,423 and $423.04.
Thank you, Commissioner Atkins. Is there a second?
Second.
Wow.
Commissioner Terry, thank you. By nose. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Item 9 is utility report. Mr. Carrier, where'd you go? There you are.
Thank you.
Hello, Marshall.
Oh, I like turning it around, man. I can read it.
Thanks, everyone. Just wanted to keep it brief, just try to go through some of the major topics going on right now in utilities for the city of Danville. Just kind of give you all some updates on the projects as they're moving along. This is the Pebble Road Phase 2 water line extension. This is from Caldwell to Tuggle Road. Those folks traveling into Pebble from Danville can see this newly seeded and strawed area along the right-of-way on the left-hand side of the highway. Total project was 16,000 linear feet of 12-inch water main. We're finalizing the project as we speak. We've got a list of punch list items that we're going through right now. And just for the public's understanding, what a punch list item is essentially the owners or the owner's representative going through the project and making a list of items that they think still needs to be done as per the contract and make things look good for the community. That's really the gist of it. So we're doing that right now, and we've finished the final grading right now. So just for a reference purpose, if anybody's ever wondered what a fire hydrant looks like under the ground, right there it is. So
I had somebody ask me, how far apart are fire hydrants?
It depends on where you are. If it's a residential location, I believe the maximum allowance is 400 feet. Then if it goes into like a commercial or industrial setting, it gets reduced down to like 300 feet, something like that. Then, of course, you also have to have fire flow capabilities based on the water implementation for that system to have fire flow. So.
And they were also very complimentary of the logo. They thought that was cool.
That's the
first time a lot of people have seen the logo.
It'll pop up here in a second, actually. You'll see it here in just a little bit. But, yeah, we're proud of it. I think it turned out really well. Next project, the Pebble Road Booster Pump Station on Tuggle. This is a $2.9 million project that we're about probably 60 to 70% complete on this project. The tank is up, obviously. The public can see the tank. You can actually see it a mile away as you're coming down the highway, so it's there. But it's not full of water just yet. So we've got some other appurtenances that still need to be done, a control building and a valve vault and some other things that need to be put in the ground to fill the tank in the future. So once we do that, the customers in the area will see some residual increase in pressure too. So this is as much as anything of the ability to, the gist of a project like this is if you have a water main break or you have a depreciation of water capabilities for this whole region of the county, if you were to have that be non-existent for any period of time, any nearby water towers would be drained almost to critical levels. So this gives us the ability to help supplement that in case you have other issues in the future too. So it's about 150 feet tall, 750,000 gallon elevated tank. So I just wanted to show some pictures of it as it progressed through construction, so the folks would see a lot of what you see there. The brown discoloration is all, of course, it's metal exposed to the environment prior to painting, so a lot of that was sandblasted off. Then it was painted with a primer and a paint. So, and then there's the logo. So, as you all are probably familiar, we've got the wastewater treatment plant phase 1 going on right now. This was let for $14.3 million. Also, if you remember, we had a couple change orders early on. We had some, for a good thing, this was a cost deduct change orders for the project. Now, that's not to say that some of those costs may not have to still be supplemented back into the project in the future, but we did a couple change orders up front for some items like bituminous pavement and sludge capacity mechanisms that we felt like we could probably sub that out in the future at a reduced cost than what was represented in the contract for the community. So at a cost savings at the end of the day, that's the gist of it. So, and then change order number 2 was the DPO discussion. If you remember, the city can buy certain products at a tax savings as opposed to doing it through the contract and having to pay additional tax. So we pulled that out as well. So the contract, I think if you do the math, that's 8.8 and change, I think, is where the contract's sat at right now. So, of course, phase 1, as we discussed before, primary focus for this was treatment improvements, screening improvements to get the elements out of the sewage as it comes in, which you can remove as much as you can prior to processing it, UV system, sludge treatment, dewatering, and in the new operations building itself, which is actually what you see right here is the footers for the new operations building. And then phase two will be more of a capacity discussion. If you all remember that whole discussion, we're looking at improving capacity for phase two for economic development and that whole discussion too. So in the future, we're probably going to see, just for your all's understanding, in the future, we'll have a change order coming up for this project relative to what's called a mud seam. And what that relates to is when they drilled down and extracted all the material for the building site, they run into a situation where you have a pocket of mud that travels through the earth all the way out to what's going to be the future parking lot. So what do you do in those situations? In those situations, with it going underneath the actual footer for the building itself, you don't want to cut corners on something like that, because you could cut corners on something like that and run into some major issues with the foundation of the building, which is not good. So what they do is over-excavate all that material out and then go back with lean concrete and do it all properly as specified. So you'll see that in the future commission meetings. You'll never forget mud seams, so there it is. These are some upcoming projects that we've got going on. This is the Kate Drive to Corporate Drive water line extension. This project was actually bid back in 2020. Hubert Construction got the low bid at that time, but you all may be fully aware back then we had the COVID issues, and one of the big beneficiaries of a project like this economically or from a business standpoint is Meggitt, right? Meggitt Aircraft Braking Company. So they were expecting phase 3 expansion at that time, but due to COVID, they had to shut some things down and pump the brakes on that a little bit. So these projects that you're seeing right here got held up as well. So that being said, you got the Corporate Drive water line that I discussed already, about 7,000 linear feet of 12-inch water line. And then you got your Lebanon Road, Clarks Run sanitary sewer, phase 1. This is about 11,000 linear feet of new gravity sewer line. So we're going through the process right now of assigning costs to both of these projects. These are in efforts to make sure that we can accommodate somebody that, of a Meggitt's magnitude, we're certainly the tip of the spear, so to speak, at times from an economic development standpoint, even when it comes to utilities. So when we want to be able to accommodate anybody out there on Corporate Drive and allow for capacity improvements for our system as well in the process. So you'll hear some future discussions about this, but our goal is to get this let to bid before New Year's. So moving pretty fast for these two projects. Here's some more upcoming projects. You've probably heard me discuss before. Pebble Road Phase 3. This is where they're actually right now they've done the reconstruction on the superstructure of the bridge right there in Pebble right now. So this is a project that was actually related to that. Early on, we talked about sleeving the water line under the bridge, so we've accomplished that with the project in cooperation with the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet. So pretty large project that goes through town, 18,000 linear feet of 12-inch water main. So, and if the folks traveling right now sees any construction on the south side of that bridge, that's going to be a future pedestrian crosswalk across the Chaplain. So pretty exciting news there. So you've got the existing one that fits a little bit further to the south. They're going to have a new one that sits more adjacent to the bridge itself. So that's the work that they're doing right now, so just for the public's understanding. Then you got your Springfield Interconnection. Actually, we got the final version of this agreement. I got this in the email today from H.K. Bell, who's doing the design for Springfield Water and Sewer Commission. So we're in a position, I believe on the December 13th commission meeting, to bring that forward to you guys for evaluation too. So this is a pretty large project. This is all the way from the west end of Pebble into Springfield, 23,000 linear feet of 12-inch water main. So this is a pretty hefty project. We're pretty excited to bring this to the folks in the county and for Springfield as well. So pretty cool deal. Then, of course, you got your Spears Creek sewer pump station. You've heard me talk about this before. This gets a lot of effluent from the west side of town. One of the 3 major pump stations for the city of Danville. So projects like this and the previous project set itself up well for maybe ARPA funds or different types of grant allocations around the state too. So, then you got your fiber network. That should say middle mile. I apologize, it says final. But fiber optic network installation, you've heard me talk about that too. It's cutting edge technology using the existing water mains to thread fiber optic infrastructure throughout the city and throughout rural parts of your county. So it's pretty neat stuff. This is the last slide here, but there's quite a bit on it. These are just some administrative utility updates. We got monthly audits of accounts. What we're going to do is monthly we're going through and auditing a lot of our customer accounts to make sure rates are applied properly and those accounts are handled and managed in the proper fashion as per our regulatory authority. And if there's any discrepancies, we'll note that and adjust the accounts as we move forward. Implemented budget assessment protocol. That's just us working with our folks, our superintendents in water and wastewater, to better address our budget concerns when we come to assessing the budget for the upcoming fiscal year. We've been working hand in hand with the fire department to identify fire hydrants around the town that are deficient, maybe need to be replaced or at least worked on. So they worked with us to generate a list so we can identify those needs and be able to assess funds appropriately to do that and take care of that in the future. You got your valve exercising program that's going on right now. You all are aware of that around town. Renegotiation with utility billing vendors. So right now, if you're a customer and you want to pay either online or come in and pay with using a debit card, there's a fee associated with that, much like any fee with any credit card. Well, right now, that fee is about $4.50 per transaction, which is a little bit on the high side of things. So we've been real aggressive with the vendor ACI of going back to them to see if we can renegotiate that down a little bit. So we've been really trying to be aggressive with that for the benefit of the customer, obviously. So we've got that from $4.50 down to $1.95 right now. So moving forward, hopefully that'll better serve the needs of the customer and help reduce costs for the customer anytime they need to come in and pay their bill. So there's some other stipulated discussions in there too with ACI, but we'll iron those out in the future. Automated customer calling. We're thinking about, we're looking into implementing this in the very near future to help provide information to those customers that maybe aren't as active on social media or maybe not as active on the websites or any various ways. There's a large group of customers out there that may not be in touch in that manner, right? That may still pick up their phone and answer their phone or answer their cell phone. So the whole goal of that is just to provide general updates for those customers, as well as the ones that are on social media and so on and so forth. Billing reminders, holiday schedules for water provision. There's a lot of ways to use that in a positive manner with those customers, right? Just keep them up to speed, And it'll help us identify those phone numbers that may not be properly assessed to that account anymore. We can go back to those customers and say, hey, if you want this type of information, what would be a good number to contact you with? So. Implementation of monthly billing. So I'm sure everybody's aware that we went from a bi-monthly to a monthly billing starting in October, and that's where we are right now. So that's moving forward very well. Hopefully, in doing the monthly billing, we're allowing the customers to better assimilate their bills, much like what their electric bill, KU, intercounty, gas, much like what you have on a monthly basis with most everybody else from a service provider. So that's going well. This year we've hired a utilities electrician, Todd Conger, and an inspector, or utilities inspector, Caleb Lowry. Todd is actually retired from the city and has come back. So he brings a wealth of experience with him when he does. He's had over 20 plus years here with the city. So the good thing about bringing him back is he has a depth of knowledge with a lot of the systems that are already in place right now. So there is no learning curve for him. He's already been there and done that. So he's efficient about getting work done, which is A-okay with me from an electrical standpoint. Because it's not uncommon. You may have a pump station or something go down the middle of the night. I mean, that's a big deal. Like, you don't want to flood people's houses. You don't want to do a lot of things like that. So getting somebody out there, Johnny on the spot, is critical. And then our inspector, Caleb Lowry, I'm working him pretty hard right now. As you can tell, we've got a lot of work going on. So he's stretched pretty thin right now, but he's doing a great job. GIS mapping implementation. What that is us trying to work with the city of Lebanon. They have some representatives that work there in the city. Right now, if you were to go around the city of Danville, we just have a lot of our maps either still on paper or some of it's geospatially located, but some of it's not. What we need to do is get into the modern era on that, right? And get our facilities located geospatially using the handheld GPS unit and the satellites, right? So that you can recreate that electronically for plan development, or you can do it for a number of things. For example, if you've got your valves located all over the city and you have a water main break, for example, you can build it into the program where if you have a water main break in a certain area of the city, the program will tell you need to cut off these 2 or 3 valves to isolate that area. And that way you're not beholden to somebody that, happens to know where the valves are, or you can have people come out there immediately on the spot, locate those valves and actuate those valves to shut it down and get it worked on. So there's many layers of how beneficial that can be, and I'll talk about that in the future commission meetings too. So we got grant pursuits going on, the CDBG that you've heard me talk about as well. We're having a meeting with Bluegrass Ad on December the 2nd to kick that off. KIA funds, Lebanon Road Sewer Phase 2. You got your ARPA fund implementation. We got several projects that can fit in that mold of an ARPA fund implementation. Then you got what we'll talk about here tonight too is the Low-Income Home Water Assistance Program, which is a program that if those low-income customers are able to qualify for this, they could receive as much as $800 in assistance for their water bills. So something for the public, to certainly keep their eyes and ears open for. The on-call process for our utilities folks, we got a robust safety program. We want to try to meet the needs of the employee and get our employees trained properly from a safety standpoint and look at the needs that they have going about their daily business. Current inquiries that we have going on right now, we have some RFPs out there on the street. We have a sludge handling and disposal at the wastewater plant. We got lagoon clean out at the wastewater plant. We've got outsourced the utility billing. Right now we have utility billing programmatically done in-house. We're looking at ways to maybe outsource doing that. That way it would free up a lot of time for the folks here in the office to go about more customer service related activities, right? And just outsourcing the actual numbers of utility billing and updating our billing software in the near future too. So just for the public's knowledge, you'll probably see some upcoming press releases. We've got some press releases pointed back to the automating calling system that we're talking about. CDBG kickoff coming up, the low-income housing water assistance program, and the lead and copper communications effort. They'll be ongoing for the next several years, but from a communication standpoint, we need to kick that off in the very near future too. So a lot of information in a short amount of time. If y'all have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Marshall, would you mind going back and talking about what the middle mile is and the fiber and what that could mean for us?
Yeah, I mean, it's, you're always looking at ways to be innovative and into the modern age, correct? So from an economic development standpoint, a lot of your economic development discussions are stemmed out of available modern technology for me to do my work, right? If I'm an incoming business, what kind of infrastructure do you guys have so I can do my job? I can provide for my employees and do my business, right? So it's a lot more appealing, right, from an economic standpoint for a business to come into a town or a region and even in a rural area, which this could help supplement too, of showing them, hey, this is what we've got. This is what we've invested in, for the benefit of everyone, you as a business owner, but also the customers throughout the community, out in the county, in the city. Provide those customers with better internet access, fiber optic accessibility that they too can benefit from. So, it's really cutting edge technology. It's a great way to implement the delivery of this type of technology using your existing infrastructure, your water mains. Essentially, it's threaded into the existing water main, and it just carries throughout your existing system. And just comes up out of a valve. Comes out of that valve, and it's attached to the homes or the group of homes as a secondary measure once it gets out of there. So, you know, it's a much safer way of doing it too. It's trenchless technology, you know, times 10. You know, you don't have to dig anything up. You don't have to worry about conflicts with the existing utilities, maybe especially in town. You know, a city as old as the city of Danville, there's all kinds of underground utilities. So you go to start digging up something to install fiber optic lines, and you'll disrupt a lot of existing utilities. So this is very minimal disruption for the customers that are existing, and it's certainly an efficient way to do that. So,
Marshall, did I hear you say something about ARPA Phase 2?
No, I may have misspoke. I don't know. I was just talking about ARPA funds in general, and maybe using it for any number of projects.
Okay.
It could be Lebanon Road projects, or Spears Creek, for example, is a prime example. So we're going through the process of finalizing a lot of our plan sets to set us up for those future conversations.
So, what are you doing in your spare time, sir?
I don't know.
Do you sleep?
trying to raise a family. No. But you know, I think we feel like we're headed in the right direction from a utility standpoint. And I say it all the time, but I got a really good supporting cast. We have really good people that work, not only here in the city of Danville, but you know, in utilities especially too. It's all about the folks that really bring it home and do the work. So at the end of the day, we want to.
You've done a fantastic job.
Sorry?
Yeah.
You've done a fantastic job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Too bad this is your last day. No, I'm kidding.
It's been real, thank you.
No, we will keep him.
Don't give him any ideas.
The night is young. No.
Thanks, Marshall.
Uh-huh.
Well done.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I may stay up here, I guess, for the
Oh, yeah.
agenda items.
Yeah, go on.
You can't get rid of me that easy.
That's all right. Pull up chair.
Yeah.
Item 10 is resolution number 2021-11-22-01. This is a corrective action plan regarding the Pebble wastewater treatment plant. Continue, sir.
This is a request made for the city to authorize our entry into an agreed order with the environmental cabinet. This is regarding remedial measures and provisions set forth between Commonwealth of Kentucky and the city of Danville as per the KRS Chapter 224. Now, what does all that mean? It essentially means in the sanitary sewer side of things, especially for your wastewater treatment plants, you have what's called total suspended solids. You have biological oxygen demand. You have BODs, all these different criteria that per state law and Division of Water in the Energy and Environment Cabinet, we have to meet those standards, right? So in years past, the wastewater treatment plant there in Pebble, over time, has had some issues in meeting those. So we've done some remedial measures in helping to maintain that, and part of that is entering into this corrective action plan with the Energy and Environmental Cabinet to move forward from a regulatory standpoint to better align with those regulations.
Do I hear a motion for the resolution? Yes. Thank you, Commissioner Atkins. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Terry, thank you. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the resolution say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Item 11 is Resolution 2021-11-22-02, Kentucky Infrastructure Authority Loan Invitation. Continue, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is an agenda request. This isn't necessarily to authorize the loan itself. This is just the authorization of the city to seek the loan in the future, if it so chooses to do so. This is in relation to the Clean Water State Revolving Fund. The amount is $10.6 million is the project cost for wastewater treatment plant. You've heard me go on and on about the wastewater treatment plant, so this is be more directly related to those construction costs. Again, this is invitation only, doesn't commit funds to the project per se, or commit the city to anything. This just allows the city to enter into those discussions officially. So that's it.
Is there a motion?
I'd offer a motion to approve Resolution 2021-11-2202, and the fact that we might be eligible for that $10 million funding is a plus. Again, you guys are out front trying to get things done, so appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Atkins. How about a second?
Second.
Mr. Cottle, thank you, sir. Why would you not apply for this?
Yeah, it's a no-brainer.
Okay.
So,
Any questions or comments further? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Item 12 is resolution number 2021-11-22-03. This is an amendment to the chemical bid. Sir?
this is in relation to a previous resolution that I brought to the commission back in October. On that resolution, we had a low bidder for caustic soda, JCI Chemicals. After further discussion with that particular vendor, they were not able to satisfy the requirements of the RFP itself, in which it was asking for a annual contract. They wanted to only do a 6-month contract. That's great, but that's not what we needed out of the RFP, right? So what we did was go back to them and provided the opportunity for them to extend that over a year. They did not do that, so now we're moving to the number 2 bidder. So if you see that, that cost chart under staff request, award of the following, when I say go to the lowest bidder, what does that mean? It only means, you see that fiscal year 21-22 under number 6, caustic soda, $0.1366. That's the number 2 bidder. The number 1 bidder, the JCI that we had to part ways with, was 0.1362. So pretty tight competition. But at the end of the day, I mean, any type of change of cost like that, when you order a whole lot of chemicals in a given year, even the smallest amount of change cost ends up being a benefit for the community. So,
Do I hear a motion?
I'll move for approval of Resolution 2021-11-2203.
Thank you, Commissioner Terry. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Holland, thank you, ma'am. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Item 13 is resolution number 2021-11-22-04. This is the, and I knew what this was.
Low income.
Low-income water program.
yeah, I mentioned this a little bit in the presentation too. So this actually, just found out about this one Friday, so I want to go ahead and get this in front of the commission too. So this is a low-income housing water assistance program that we want the public to be aware of. This provides funds to assist low-income households with their water and wastewater bills. This is essentially a vendor agreement to do that through the Bluegrass ad. And this starts pretty quick, December 1st, 2021. So hopefully those folks listening at home right now will be aware of that, along with some other opportunities with CDBG that we've got going on here with the city too. So like I mentioned before, if the families qualify and they've been, their water service or for whatever reason's been cut off due to delinquency, they can qualify for as much as $800. So to help pay for those bills.
Resolution 2021-11-22-04 as presented, and I want to stress to staff to be sure to share this with United Human Services and with Family Services who are looking for these types of programs. So, great job.
Thank you, Commissioner Atkins. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Cottle, thank you. We're in discussion. Marshall, is this a new program? Has this program been around?
I'm not aware of it, but that doesn't mean, that it's not been around. I think if you look on their website, I think they've been around for at least 1 year. I'm just not very familiar with them.
And so people can apply here?
Or if they can apply here, or we can provide them contact information with Bluegrass ad of who to go through. And a lot of that information will be online as well, so.
Okay.
Lieutenant's over there shaking his head. He wants to know about this one, right? Call for the question.
But there
though.
are, as with anything, I mean, there's certain criteria that particular account has to meet before they can
Right.
qualify for any amount of funds,
Right.
just like any other program.
Call for the question.
Question's been called. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
Yeah.
Item 14, Marshall, thank you, sir. Take a break. Item 14 is the engineering report. Mr. Morgan?
Waiting on my clicker here. I've got another street in the background up there, if anybody can try to guess what street that is.
Another what? Oh, that's Glen Ellen Drive. Glen Ellen Court.
No, it's not Glen Ellen.
Is that that's not Crescent, is it?
No, it's
Jefferson.
Seminole. Seminole. And if you look in the left-hand corner, there's a good mid-century house there. If anybody, architecture nerds, there's some good mid-century houses on that street if you want to see some examples. But, all right, I'll try to make this as quick as I can. I don't know why we did the two engineers doing the reports on the same night. That was probably not the best idea, but.
Yeah, don't let that happen again, Earl.
Some kind of basic public services, the update things we're working on. Talked a little bit about the public services garage renovation. I've been meeting with the architect about that project. It's just a really bad time to bid a project. All the cost estimates we're getting back are extremely high. We're trying to determine a minimum scope that we can bid out, hopefully in the next month or two, and see how that bid comes back. We have money in the budget, and we'd like to spend it. So you'll look for that bid to occur probably after the first of the year sometime. We're in the midst of leaf collection throughout the city. Hopefully that's going well for everybody. If anybody has any questions or anything, I think we're not sure if we started our second pass through yet, but we're getting ready to start. We're somewhere in the middle of the collection time. And mostly public works, we've mostly been doing drainage and sidewalk improvements the past couple of months. We've tried to get as much of that work done as we could before the weather turned. This is an example of a sidewalk on Alta Avenue that we partnered with the property owners. They purchased all the materials and city staff did the work. Those oak trees were planted when the houses were built about 100 years ago. So we tried to preserve those trees. They're tearing the sidewalks up, but it's a lot cheaper for us to work those sidewalks around the trees and take the trees down. They're quite large. So Central Fire Station project, just some numbers there. Current budget's about $5.9 million. Current expenditures, we're almost at 2.9. We've spent a lot of money in the past 3 months. I was looking at my previous report, and we've pretty much doubled our expenditures in the past 3 months. So things are moving along well. Current substantial completion date, I have a change order later. We're going to add 10 days. That's going to take us to April 21st, 2022. And then I've got some potential change orders and issues coming up. We've got to connect the existing City Hall force main back in. Streetscape improvements, I have some drawings on that. I'll probably bring some of those to you all in the next month or so so you can see them once we kind of dial in the materials and exactly what we're going to do there. And then pretty soon you'll start seeing some lane closures out front for utility connections. We have to move the gas line, we have to connect to storm sewer, we have to connect to water, and all those connections are going to involve us closing at least one lane of Main Street to do that work. So that'll be a pretty disruptive. Streetscape, still waiting on KYTC approval for the signal at 4th and Main. That's getting to the point where it's going to be, I feel like it's going to be part of the larger streetscape project next year if it drags on any longer. And that update, we just had a design progress update for you all for the Main Street streetscape. So you all pretty aware where we are with that project. One thing we didn't talk about much during that update was we have a restriping proposed for 4th Street between Main and Walnut. We have that temporary restriping encroachment permit submitted to the state. Once they approve that, we'll probably move forward with that pretty quickly. That's going to involve reducing that to one lane. Between the travel lane will be reduced to one lane between Main and Walnut on 4th. You'll have parking on both sides. We're just going to see if it works. All the numbers say it will. When the traffic engineers have run the numbers, they say it'll work. But we want to see if it's going to back traffic up into Main Street and mess with that traffic flow any at all.
Guarantee it's going to.
So we're going to test it out and see. We're not doing anything permanent until we know. Wayfinding signage, hold on to that. I've got something at the end. We'll switch over to different slides to look at some wayfinding signage when I get done here. Stormwater program, we had the Streamland Phase 1 project. We had a public outreach November 17th. We just set up a table on the corner of the streets there. Thankfully, we got a really nice day for the middle of November and just made ourselves available to the neighborhood. We had pretty good turnout. I probably spoke to about 20 residents in the neighborhood. Some people were really excited about what we're doing. Some people tell us we don't know what we're doing. That's pretty much how it works, when we go to these things. But I think everybody was thankful we made ourselves available to talk to, and that's the best we can do sometimes. And then we've started updates on the stormwater ordinances and the manual. Hopefully have those ordinance updates in front of you all in the next month or so. The ordinance changes are gonna be pretty standard, just what we have to do for our permits with the state. But we'll have those ready here pretty soon. Trail system. They've started the second half of the mountain bike park. The second, we're doing another mile on the north side of Clark's Run out at the mountain bike park. They've started on that work. Actually, I walked it last week, what they had rough cut in, and it's going to be great. It's going to really make that trail something that is usable for everybody. And then we've also started work on a trailhead access point down by pretty close to Corporate Drive. It's going to connect to a trail that runs along the border between the quail farm and the industries on Corporate Drive. You may have seen, so we have some barrels out where we took out some guardrail. That's the first step. We'll take out guardrail, the state will put in the pipe, and we'll finish the entrance. So we received that encroachment permit a few weeks ago and have started on it. And we still have the Stanford Road crosswalk is still at KYTC, see if we can get that grant. Cemeteries, still working on the Bellevue expansion. We kind of nailed down how we want to lay out the road, and we've got pricing on the fences. I think fence work will probably start in the next few weeks. And hopefully by early next year, we have that area ready to sell. We're running out of room pretty quickly in the back, so we need to get those ready. I've been working with Carmen to develop the committal shelter designs, and I'd like to have something for you all at that December meeting to look at some different concepts so they can start dialing in that design so we can bid it in the spring. And we're still working on signage. We're going to start with, I really wanted to bounce some of these signage ideas off a cemetery committee, but we really don't have a cemetery committee right now. So we're trying to reform that group so I'd like to have a citizen group to look at those changes with us so we don't get too carried away. Parks design update. We haven't really, we selected our parks designers, and we've kind of gone into the background and been working for a while now, and I wanted to give you all a quick update. We've had several public and stakeholder meetings in the past couple of months. Jenny Rogers especially, I think we've had 2 or 3 meetings with different stakeholders interested in using the building. I say we're getting really close to the end of our information gathering part of this, that we can say, then I think the next step is having another open public meeting to say, here's the uses that have been identified. How do you all feel about it? And then go from there. I think we're really close to that. Basketball is going to start practicing there next week. So it's going to be used next week. But I think as far as the overall vision of the building, I think we're close to kind of presenting that and seeing how everybody feels about it in the community. And I think the goal right now, with especially some of the stakeholders that want to use that building, I think next summer is my goal to get activities happening on a larger scale. Because I think the Art Center, library, some of those groups are looking for summer programs in there. So that's kind of our goal right now. Michael Smith Park, we had an initial meeting about it, and we've tentatively scheduled a public outreach meeting at the park on December 5th. That's actually a Sunday. We're going to do it a Sunday afternoon. We thought the weather would be best, and people kind of could stop by after church sometime, and we're just going to set up out there and take input from the community. So we'll start advertising that as soon as I nail down the time and everything and making people aware of it. And then we've been working with stakeholders on the aquatic facility and fairgrounds development. I think we're on the same timeline for everything, and I think by the spring we'll have a good plan. By the summer we'll actually be starting work. But one of the things we've talked about is with the fairgrounds, I think we're at a point where we'll maybe talk to the fair board about the plan there. Earl, I don't know if I'm probably overstepping what I should say, but I think we're getting close to knowing what we want to talk to the fair board about, a schedule for next year. And then, like I said, project prioritization, we'll be ready to have that and in this early winter time and ready to start bidding out projects in the spring. Miscellaneous projects, we've done some work at Cowan Street Park. At the entrance, I don't know, we've not quite done. You can't see the shadow's not good, but we've we took out the old fence that surrounded that entrance, and we put in some nice shrubs, and we had some old boulders down by the salt building that we took out there to put in place instead of, to keep cars from going in, instead of having a fence, we just put boulders in there, and we're installing some bollards now on the actual road that can be removed to let traffic in. They're paving the fall paving list right now, which has reminded me to talk to you all a little bit about manhole raising. I was talking to Rick Henry last week that I told him if we didn't get some manholes raised, we're going to get fired. So we are going to, the plan right now is we're going to commit a city crew starting after the first of the year that they're just going to raise as many manholes as they can, as fast as they can, because we have so many that we need to get to. But that is definitely a priority for us, that we've struggled to find the right way to do it. We had a way the city had done it for, I don't know, 20, 30 years, and that's not available to us anymore. The person that did that has retired. So we're trying to figure out the next way to do it, and we're just going to have to set aside staff time to make it happen. And then I've been working with planning and zoning and the county engineer to update our subdivision regulations. We've also been meeting with local design engineers and local developers to update the subdivision regulations. It's been 30 years since they were updated on a large scale. So I think the next step for us is to meet with the P&Z Advisory Committee. But at some point, I want to get those in front of you all, the major changes. It's really it's a planning and zoning it's a planning and zoning decision that won't actually come to the city commission, but I want to make sure you all are aware of the major changes we're making and are on board with it in general. I've lost my screen, Matt. I think I might be.
Let me ask you a question while we're
Yes, sir.
waiting. You mentioned stakeholders on the aquatic center. Who are the stakeholders?
It's primarily looking like it's going to be the hospital that we're trying to work with on that. Earl, I don't know if you want to dive into that anymore.
No
Well, I
pun-
mean,
no pun intended, I'm sure.
You know, we're going to continue to talk to the schools and trying to establish what partnerships, as indicated in the Parks Master Plan. The Parks Master Plan talked about trying to find partners that have the same initiative and same mission, and so that's what we're doing. We're engaging in those conversations, and the hospital's included.
So that was the end of my slideshow, but behind you, I got an update from Carmen for the wayfinding signage using the new logo. They brought forward option one. I showed that to you all a month or so ago, and they've developed some other options. Here's this as well that kind of gives the family of signs, looking at that first option. But then primarily I wanted you all to look at this and just kind of gauge your all's interest in these different options. I've got zoomed in versions of them as well that we can kind of go through.
You want feedback tonight or just?
Yes, yeah, I mean, if you give us some feedback, we can kind of dial it in further and bring back something for kind of final approval.
I like the first option, actually, so.
I do
like
too.
the blue outline, and it's simple, it's clean.
I think it's easier to read and more visible.
I like having Danville spelled out rather than just the DKY.
Yeah. I do like that. I think when they use this in the family of signs, they've got some signage towards the smaller end that have just the DKY, and I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
That we can kind of incorporate the DKY into the smaller, more pedestrian. You kind of know where you're at when you're on foot, so we don't necessarily have to spell out Danville. But any comments, any kind of thoughts, it would help us kind of get to a final point.
Y'all chime in.
Y'all look good. But yeah, you can read it.
Uh-huh, I like number one.
You can read it, yeah.
Guess it wins by default, Josh.
Yeah.
That's three.
The thing I like about option 4 is for me, it tells the visitor at first glance, these are the places and the arrows, as opposed to, then you get down to Danville. It's a matter of preference, just a matter of preference. I don't really care, you know. We got bigger things to deal with. Anything else, sir?
That's all I had. Thank you all.
Thank you. Move right on to item 15, resolution number 2021-11-22-05. This is the Memorial Plaza call for artist RFP. Continue, sir.
Yes, we've been working with the Art Center and the architect on the Central Fire Station to develop the call for artists for the sculpture that will incorporate the 9/11 piece of steel. And we're pretty close to having that document ready to put out. But I wanted to ask your approval to move on with a budget of $20,000 for that project. That is a number that the Art Center reached out to kind of local artists and local public art people here in Kentucky, I think out of Lexington, those kind of areas, and ask what kind of number would work. And that's kind of the general number that seemed to keep popping up. So we just wanted to get approval with that number so that when we put this call for artists out, we can, you know, we'll come back to you all later with I think the schedule is going to look like, you know, they said 6 to 8 weeks of having it out to then you shortlist, then you take proposals, then you shortlist to 3, then you do another 6 weeks usually to them prepare a design that to be reviewed by a selection committee. So we're looking, if we start now, we'll probably have an artist on board in, we were hoping late March, early April. So they could be, and they've indicated that the work would go pretty quickly. So if we could get them out there then, they would be finishing up their project, you know, within a pretty short amount of time after the fire station's complete. So we've kind of waited to the last second, but we can be on a good schedule if we start now. So,
Do I hear a motion?
I move for approval of resolution 2021-11-2205.
Second.
Thanks, Mr. Cardle. Commissioner Terry, thank you. Discussion?
What's the 20,000 is for what exactly? I mean, what?
that would be the budget for the project. So when we would do the
Okay,
call.
that's the whole, okay.
Yeah,
gotcha.
when we do the call, we would say you have $20,000 to spend.
Gotcha.
I think the way Nikki acted, it would be more like we would say you have 19,000 to spend and 1,000 would go towards administrative cost or something. Like this kind of sets the budget for us as we move forward.
Would it make more sense to do an up to 20,000 then, or?
I think that's how we would word it. So I think we would just move forward with that kind of budget in mind of, and I don't really know how to, you know, with art, like, do you say, oh, well, you know, come in with a cheap one and we'll pick it? Yeah, I don't think we, I think it's very much of, we have up to $20,000, you know, provide us with a design that fits within that budget. But yeah, I think that's the right mindset.
Yeah, you're trying to keep somebody from coming in with a $100,000 proposal and that being your only one. I mean, you're trying to limit it, but you're trying to get it at that number up front so that folks can have a vision that maybe they sell you on. Instead of spending 10, you may spend 15 and get something different. So it gives a solid starting point for the artist.
Sounds good.
Do I hear a motion?
We already did.
I got it. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Number 16, resolution number 2021-11-22-06. Change order number 6 for the fire station. Continue, sir.
Yes, this change order is in the amount of $12,855, and it's to increase the feeder capacity to an electrical panel in the building. This is a request made by the electrical engineer, just reevaluating what was being fed out of that panel. They needed to increase the capacity. So also included in this change order is 5 additional days for rain in August and 5 additional days due to the electrical requirements, different set of changes to the exhaust system that we're including in the apparatus bays. So, but there's no cost change to that, just days. So it's $12,855 and 10 additional days.
Do I hear a motion?
Go ahead. I'll move to approve resolution 2021-11-2206.
Thank you, Commissioner Holland. Is there a second? Commissioner Atkins?
Second?
Thank you, sir. Discussion? All in
Sounds
favor,
like
say.
a pretty important thing to have enough.
Yes.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carries. Do we have need for an executive session?
I'm afraid that we do not.
What?
Happy Thanksgiving.
It's a
Happy
Thanksgiving
Thanksgiving.
miracle.
With that said, and nothing come before this commission, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Go into executive session?
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Hollins. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Cottle, thank you. This feels weird, doesn't
Yeah. No, I like it.
it? If no discussion, all in favor of the motion for adjournment, say aye.
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 Opposed, like sign, motion carries. Everybody have a good evening.
You too.
Happy Thanksgiving.